welcome guys back to WWE 2K17 Universe mode, and we are here in the Full Sail University Arena. This is NXT, and we already know what's going to be going on tonight, as we're going to have the continuation of our NXT semi-finals tournament, as we're going to have Bobby Lashley taking on Magnus to start things out, and we're going to also have Shinsuke Nakamura against Elias Samson in our main event, as we got so much to look forward to on the NXT card. And we know that the matches were kind of advertised differently last week for the semifinals, but General Manager William Regal really insisted on having these matches take place. He really liked seeing Bobby Lashley and Magnus last week in the quarterfinals, so he wants them to face off now one-on-one. The winner will be going to the finals to face either Shinsuke Nakamura or Elias Samson. Such a huge card for you tonight on NXT, and we're going to find out who's going to get a step closer to facing Samoa Joe. This right here is the match that General Manager William Regal specifically wanted to witness go tonight on NXT. Bobby Lashley versus Magnus. And this right here is the first match of the semifinals of the NXT Championship tournament. Of course, we know Bobby Lashley knocked off the greatest man that ever lived, Austin Aries, last week on NXT in pretty dominant fashion. I mean, Austin Aries put up one hell of a battle against Bobby Lashley, but you have to think Austin Aries didn't really have a chance. Bobby Lashley was just suplexing Austin Aries all over the ring, and he literally just made a mockery out of the so-called greatest man that ever lived. So now Lashley's going to have a worthy opponent in Magnus, who knocked off the glorious Bobby Roode last week on NXT. So Bobby Lashley better not get too comfortable, because he has one hell of an opponent in Magnus to look forward to, as Bobby Lashley looks so focused. And here comes Magnus, as Magnus pulled off a victory last week that not a lot of people thought he was going to get. When he pinned Bobby Roode 1, 2, 3 in that ring, everybody was kind of surprised. I mean, people were happy for Magnus. He is a new signee from the TNA roster that we had, and he's been wreaking havoc here on NXT. He's been getting victories over a lot of high-profile superstars, getting victories over the right people, and now he finds himself in the semifinals of this tournament going against Bobby Lashley. Well, Magnus was able to defeat Bobby Roode, but Bobby Lashley is going to be one hell of a competitor for Magnus. He better not get too comfortable, because the Destroyer will add Magnus's name to his list if he allows him to. So this right now, we're kicking off the semifinals here on NXT. This is Bobby Lashley going one-on-one with Magnus. Later on tonight, we're going to be hearing from the NXT Champion Samoa Joe about what he feels about this tournament. I mean, Samoa Joe's been pretty much sitting in the back watching this tournament the whole time, watching all of these superstars progress. I want to know what's on the mind. We all do. Wait a minute, that is Bobby Roode. What is he doing out here right now? Bobby Roode got eliminated from this tournament last week against Magnus, and I guess he's out here right now to try to distract Magnus. He doesn't want to see Magnus go to the finals. And that right there is vintage Bobby Roode, always trying to make sure that his opponent is one step down under him. The glorious Bobby Roode. There is nothing glorious about his attitude tonight, because he's coming out here to make sure that Magnus does not escalate in this tournament. Well, hopefully Magnus could stay focused against Bobby Lashley with Roode on this side of the ring. But come on, you're facing the Destroyer. It's going to be really hard to get the victory as it is, just without a distraction. Imagine having a distraction. So the cards are stacked against Magnus here tonight. Could he leave with the victory? But going back to the Samoa Joe speech, he's going to be pretty much talking about how he feels about this tournament, how he feels about all the competitors who are still here. So if Bobby Lashley wins this match, you have to assume that Samoa Joe is going to address the Destroyer Lashley, as Magnus is tossing Bobby Lashley over the ring in a T-bone suplex, and there goes a DDT attempt by Magnus, but Bobby Lashley responds with a clubbing right hand. It's now Bobby Roode cheering on Bobby Lashley, but Bobby Lashley's kind of out of the loop. He doesn't even know why Roode is out here. He's kind of just going with the flow, but Bobby Lashley looking at Rude like, what are you doing? Bobby Lashley continuing his assault onto Magnus. Either way, the winner of this match will be one step closer to Samoa Joe. So Magnus is trying to hang in there. He's dealt with all of the offense from the Destroyer Lashley to this point. But could Magnus do the job and defeat Lashley here tonight? And there goes a power slam to Bobby Lashley by Magnus. He goes for the cover. Will this be enough to put Lashley away as Bobby Roode on the other side of the ring, hoping that Lashley kicked out, and he did. Yes. Magnus, you can see the look on his face. He doesn't really have fear on his face, but he's a little bit more uncomfortable now that the Glorious One is out here watching this match, because not only does Magnus have to keep an eye on Bobby Lashley, but he has to also keep an eye on Roode. A possibility of Roode maybe pushing him off the rope, just like Magnus is standing there right now and going for the double axe handle, but Lashley with the wherewithal to move out the way. Despite Bobby Roode being out here, Magnus is looking pretty good. He's going to go for a springboard neck breaker off the second rope. That right there is going to rattle your skull. Bobby Lashley in some trouble right now. Is now Lashley grabbing the ropes. And Magnus is going to the finals. What the hell did we just witness right now? Magnus is going to the finals. Bobby Lashley grabbed the rope. That was a horrible call from the referee. I want to recount on that. Bobby Lashley grabbed the bottom rope, but Magnus still left with the victory here tonight. Well, Bobby Roode in an attempt to distract Magnus to keep him out of the finals, but that was not able to stop him. As Magnus with that springboard DD neck breaker, Lashley grabbing the bottom rope, but the referee counting the 3. Magnus is going to the finals. And Bobby Roode can't even believe it. He's outside in disbelief. He's going crazy. He wanted Magnus to be out of the finals, but now Magnus will be going to the finals to face either Nakamura or Elias. It is time. We are about to hear from the NXT Champion Samoa Joe, and it is about time. I have waited for the arrival of our NXT champion, and there he is in convincing fashion. Samoa Joe might have some words to discuss what happened with Magnus, Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Roode. That right there was an absolute disgrace. Bobby Lashley grabbed the bottom rope, but the referee not catching it, so Magnus will be moving to the finals. And Samoa Joe does not look impressed at all. The NXT champion with just a stern look on his face. And of course, Samoa Joe will be taking a trip to 205 Live next week to be facing TJ Perkins in the main event. So we're going to be hearing from Samoa Joe. We're going to see what he has to say about the whole entire tournament and the whole entire match with TJ Perkins next week on 205 Live. All I've been asked for the last couple of weeks is, Joe, who do you want to face at TakeOver? Who do you think is going to win the tournament? Who are you putting your money on to be the new #1 contender? Who do you find yourself facing in the future? Well, you guys should know my answer, and it's a pretty obvious answer. I am the reigning NXT champion. I am the man to beat, and I am the best that NXT has to offer. So I don't care who wins this championship tournament. The end result at NXT TakeOver will be the same. Samoa Joe will have his hand raised in victory, and Samoa Joe will still be your reigning NXT champion. So as for Magnus, as for Elias Samson, as for Shinsuke Nakamura, you guys can continue to think that you stand a chance against me. You guys can continue to think that you're going through all of this tournament because you have potential to beat me. Though you guys all are talented, you guys are not the Samoan submission machine. And you guys are not the NXT champion Samoa Joe. So as for TJ Perkins, next week on 205 Live, me and you have a match. And you think you're going to have the advantage over me just because 205 Live is your home show. 205 Live is where you roam. Well, I'm going to give you some advice, TJ. Everybody who's faced Samoa Joe has never left the same. Everybody who's faced Samoa Joe has never left 100%. So if you think that you're going to be 100% for your match against Brian Kendrick at TakeOver, you are gladly mistaken. And as for the rest of you people who have faith in one of these three losers, Magnus, Samson, or Nakamura, the bad news is that all of them will fail. None of them will be victorious against Samoa Joe. And I still will be running NXT under my iron fist. So take that into consideration. Well, Samoa Joe, very serious about what he said today. So we're going to get to our finals match between Nakamura and Elias Samson. Hopefully they don't take Samoa Joe's words to the mind. Welcome back to NXT, and it is main event time. And hopefully this match wouldn't be as much of a flop as the first semifinals matches. We all saw what happened there. Magnus Magnus wasn't trying to get the victory the way he did, but that was just a bad call from the referee. So we're hoping that this match between Elias Samson and Shinsuke Nakamura will actually be a hard-hitting brawl. As there goes Elias Samson, as he was able to get the victory over Andrade Cien Almas in the quarterfinals to get to the semifinals match. So a lot of people are asking if Elias Samson has what it takes to defeat the King of Strong Style. The King of Strong Style has been in one hell of a role. He beat Brian Cage last week in a match that a lot of people didn't think Nakamura could win. So Elias Samson will definitely have his hands full against the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. So we just heard from the NXT Champion Samoa Joe, and from the way it sounds, he is not too impressed with anybody who's competed in this tournament. Samoa Joe is still the same old Samoan submission machine. Feels like he could beat anybody. He's cocky, and he's going to be going into NXT TakeOver with a lot of confidence. So whoever wins this tournament, if it's either Nakamura, Samson, or Magnus, they have to take that under consideration. They have to know that Samoa Joe is going to be delivering the kitchen sink at NXT TakeOver. Here comes Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura, in my opinion, has been one of the most impressive competitors in the whole entire tournament. He's pretty much been able to overcome any obstacle that he's been put in front of. So Nakamura and Elias Samson will be closing out the semifinals of this tournament. Elias Samson has to remember that Shinsuke Nakamura is a man that you literally have to kill to get the victory. So the question is if Elias Samson can handle the strong style that the King has for him coming. Shinsuke Nakamura making his way into the ring. As we all know how dedicated and how impressive Shinsuke Nakamura is, we know exactly how tough this man is when he gets in the ring. So it's going to be Shinsuke Nakamura versus Elias Samson to close out the semifinals in this tournament. What a tournament it has been. So many competitive superstars, so many impressive matches. Right now we are in the final chapter of our semifinals. Who's going to be going to the finals next week on NXT to face Magnus? As Elias Samson with a quick cover over Shinsuke Nakamura. As that right there shows you the respect that Elias Samson has for the King of Strong Style. It was a pendulum backbreaker there by Samson. Elias Samson making a return to NXT a couple of weeks ago, and he's pretty much a new man. He's a reincarnated superstar, as by words of Samson, and he's been very dominant in this tournament. He's had very impressive victories. He's been able to make it through. The first match in the tournament Elias Samson attended, we weren't really able to see because that was one of the simulated matches in the earlier stages of the tournament. But we know in the second match he was able to defeat Andrade Cien Almas, and we know how talented Cien is. So Elias Samson is definitely the real deal in this tournament. As there goes an attempted knee by Nakamura, and then a neck breaker there by Samson. Elias Samson all over Nakamura in the starting of this semifinals match. Shinsuke Nakamura trying to get himself out of that predicament. If anything, Shinsuke Nakamura knows how to get himself out of a hole, as he's been dominated in both of his matches here in the tournament, and he's been able to come back with that Kinshasa. So basically Nakamura's game plan has to be just to not let Samson get that much good shots in, because if Samson delivers those clotheslines like he's so infamous to deliver, Nakamura's chances to win this match will definitely decrease. Getting hit with a clothesline from Elias Samson is like getting hit by a semi-truck. So Nakamura needs to take that under consideration, as the crowd is very silent for this match, as they know how much is at stake. It's Nakamura Irish whipping Samson off the ropes, and now Elias Samson up on the shoulders of Nakamura, and there goes that landslide by Shinsuke. We saw Nakamura deliver that landslide to Brian Cage last week on NXT in absolute awe. It left us with no words. Of course, Brian Cage, over 300 pounds. Shinsuke Nakamura lifted him on his shoulders and driving him to the mat with that landslide. As now Elias Samson going down to the mat with a back body drop. This tournament has really showcased the skills of all these NXT superstars, and it has proven that the championship means so much to each one of these superstars. So we got a little bit of word from General Manager William Regal. He was able to catch up with Bobby Lashley, and he is not very happy with the decision of the referee. Hopefully something will happen there as well. We have to figure out why Bobby Roode even decided to show up. Is now Elias Samson measuring Nakamura. What does he have planned here? Is now Nakamura responding with a German suplex. Elias Samson was planning something big, but shut down quickly by Shinsuke Nakamura. And we've seen this before to Brian Cage, and Nakamura drives Samson face first into the mat. Will this be enough to put him away? Will this be enough to bring Nakamura into the finals of the NXT Championship tournament? And now Elias Samson kicks out. The old Elias Samson may have not kicked out of that, but the new Elias Samson is definitely delivering one hell of a fight to Shinsuke, as now Nakamura Kinshasa early in the match onto Elias Samson. Will that be enough to put him away? And Samson kicks out of that. How impressive is Elias Samson in this match? He just kicked out of the Kinshasa, one of Shinsuke Nakamura's best moves. And now Elias Samson answers back with a back suplex. I cannot believe that Samson kicked out of that Kinshasa, but that right there is showing you just how much will Samson has and how much determination he has to get the NXT Championship off Samoa Joe's waist. There goes a spinning suplex there by Elias Samson. He needs to deliver something big right here, as now Samson with the DDT driving Nakamura head first. Will this be enough to put him away? There goes the leg drop following that DDT. As we've seen that Elias Samson is trying to target the head of Nakamura. He's trying to probably concuss the King of Strong Style to keep him down for the 3 count. Now there goes a clubbing blow to the back of Nakamura. Now Samson has in a fireman's carry. There goes the landslide by Samson. And there goes the cover on Nakamura. Will this be enough to push Shinsuke away? And Samson puts Nakamura away. I cannot believe what I just witnessed. Elias Samson just put away Shinsuke Nakamura. Could you believe that? So many surprises here tonight on NXT. I have no words. Elias Samson is going to the finals against Magnus. Well, Elias Samson definitely proved in this match against Shinsuke Nakamura that he is absolutely ready for a possible match against Samoa Joe. That landslide, Shinsuke Nakamura had no response for that. Today, Elias Samson leaves with a victory, probably the biggest victory in Elias Samson's career. But he has one more match against Magnus next week on NXT. Will Elias Samson ignite his return by defeating Magnus in the middle of the ring?